What happens when you spend decades building a successful career only to realize success alone isn't enough anymore?
After 38 years in insurance and decades of wanting to explore other entrepreneurial pursuits, Mark Cunningham finally decided it was time to bet on himself.
What followed wasn't easy. He poured himself into learning a laundromat business from the ground up, came dangerously close to running out of cash, and discovered firsthand how important culture, leadership, and franchisor support really are.
Now, at 71 years old, Mark is starting another chapter with Black Optix Tint, not just to build a business, but to build a legacy alongside his son and future son in law.
This episode is a powerful reminder that entrepreneurship isn't just about making money, it's about building a life that still excites you. I'm Sara Waskow, and this is my colleague, Roxanne Rapske, and we created this podcast to bring you information and education about franchising and all things business ownership related. Welcome to episode 122 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. So we are thrilled to welcome Mark Cunningham as our guest today. Mark and I met a few years ago when Mark owned his laundromat, and you were actually thinking about joining FranNet and did not do that. And now you have another franchise. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up where you are today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Seeing y'all again. The background, when people graduate out of high school, some people have a straight path. They know exactly what they want to do. And some people's path goes a little left, a little right, up, down. And that was kind of my path. I loved sports and I played football, but I got hurt my second year in college. And so I couldn't play anymore. And so I kind of got depressed about that because I thought that's what I was going to do, play college football and become a professional. I was 18, 19, 20 years old. So, looking back, you think, gosh, how silly was that? But that was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. So when I got hurt, couldn't play anymore, had to decide, what am I going to do? That's when I kind of realized, my body, I can't rely so much on my body to get me through life as much maybe as my brain. And so I went back to school, thought I wanted to become a newspaper reporter, got my degree in journalism, was a reporter for Las Vegas Review-Journal for a few years. And I decided I missed Dallas-Fort Worth area, the Vegas lifestyle and culture. And we talk about culture all the time. The culture was a little bit different. That 24-hour culture was starting to wear on me. So I moved back home, looked into getting into some newspaper, and the pay was terrible. That was the early 80s, and the pay was like $800 a month.
Oh, wow.
At some of the newspapers. And I said, I can't do that. I love writing, but I can't do that. I want to make a living. So I took a test at NAS Dallas, and to get in the Navy, I actually went with a friend. He wanted to fly. And so they were at the hangar at NAS Dallas, which is now closed. They were had about 500 guys show up and took this test. And I went along for the ride with my buddy. And I sat down and 3 hours later, finished the test, and they called 8 people back, and I was one of the 8 that passed out of 500 people.
Oh, wow.
And I swear I guessed on every. So how I passed that test, I don't know. But then that's when they said, okay, you want to fly? They took me up in an airplane trying to make me sick to see if I would last. So next thing I'm in Pensacola, being in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the forest, doing survival training and doing all this good stuff. And got out and went to flight school in Pensacola. Now they've since moved that up north somewhere. But in the middle of flight school, I had an accident, lost a couple of ribs. And then I had another surgery, got sick, real bad sinus, and went in and they pulled a couple of polyps out. So when they start doing that, you can't fly anymore.
Okay.
So that was basically, they said, you can go Navy SEALs, Air Intelligence, or we'll let you get out and stay in the reserves. And so at that time, my dad was a State Farm agent. So I called, trying to decide what to do. I called State Farm and I said, I'd love to be an agent. And they said, we need somebody in Rowlett. And so I got out, stayed in the reserves, and became a State Farm agent for the next 38 years.
Wow.
38 years.
That's a long
So
time.
it's a very long time.
Mhm.
So you decided it was time to do something else after 38 years doing that, and then ended up buying a laundromat. So, and that's a franchise. So that was kind of dipping your toe into the franchise industry. So tell us a little bit about that.
I love State Farm, but over 38 years, the company started making some changes, and it kind of wasn't what you hear that all the time. This is not what I signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand change, and if you don't change and adapt, you get left behind. So it wasn't that I wasn't willing to change and make some changes. It was just that it was the culture. There was a cultural shift that I thought, I'm not getting any younger. If I'm going to do something else, the time is now. The time is right. So looked into a lot of different franchises. I tell people all the time, I bet I've looked at over 200 FDDs.
You had
Wow.
looked at a lot when we were talking back a few years ago. I remember you telling me what you had done in your due diligence. So
Yeah.
how'd you end up buying the laundromat?
Well, I was looking for my experience managing people, which, I've got several coaching certificates and have studied human behavior. That's kind of one of my niche side studies. I've always been interested in what motivates people, and because State Farm spends a lot of time motivating us, and we spend a lot of time motivating our staffs because it's sales, it's numbers.
Yeah.
You have to perform. When you're in a sales-oriented business, you have to perform. So I'm like, okay, it can take a toll after 38 years of go, 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 sell, sell, sell. So I was looking for something a little lower key and an employee, more of a blue collar employee that wouldn't be so hard to find, licensed, well trained, had some more people skills that you need in certain jobs. And so I thought, geez, it's going to be easier to find help. Heck, if I need to go wash a load of clothes, I can do that. And then I thought it would fit the semi-absentee model that I was looking for, which, I always tell people that's deceptive. That there's very little absentee out there.
Yeah.
I like to use the word semi-absentee because you start going absentee, I don't care what it is, your business can go upside down real fast if you're not watching it.
Yeah.
100%.
So I thought that with the labor force it was going to require, I thought it would be a true semi-absentee business that I could get set up, get in there, learn it, surround myself with some good people, and then I could kind of keep an eye on it. So that's kind of how I decided. And the margins were good.
Yeah. I know you said you were looking for good margins, easy to find people. And you did a great job. How long did you own that laundromat?
4 years. And when I left, we were the number one laundromat in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Very
So I
impressive.
was
Very
real
impressive.
proud of that.
And it took you a while to cash flow, but then
Yeah, a
once you
year.
did, it took you a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was tough because the mistake I made was, you always hear everybody say, use other people's money.
Mm-hmm.
It's smart to use other people's money, and I had the cash myself to go and pay for the build out. And building out a laundromat, it can be $300,000-$400,000 easy. And so that's what I spent out of pocket. And then I had another note for the equipment. I financed it. So I thought I was going to be cash flowing a little quicker. And so next thing I know, it's like, okay, all that cash I spent, I wish I had it right now too, because I probably spent another 100,000 over the next 12 months cash flowing it.
Wow.
So
But it paid off.
You made it
because
through.
You were successful, and then
Yeah.
you were approached by another WaveMax owner who bought it from you.
right. Yep. He made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So that was nice. So we sold for about $1 million cash. And that was enabled me to pay off debt and put some money in my pocket and then say, okay, what do we want to do next?
So here you are at the ripe young age of 71 buying another franchise.
Yeah.
What's your motivation?
I am a builder. I get bored real easy. I like to build things. And kind of once I learn something or master it, I'm ready to go to the next thing. So uh, I I just wanted to help my son who doesn't we were talking about this earlier. My son doesn't want to go to college. He's a great student, 40th in his class, and had several scholarships offered and played high school golf, was a good little high school golfer. And he told me, Dad, I don't want to go to college. And my future son-in-law, who I call him that, tongue in cheek, but I think he will be here some point. But I embarrass him sometimes when I say that in front of people. But
Now he's going to see this.
I know. We hope this ages well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. But anyway, he, got out of college, graduated a few years ago, been struggling in real estate. It's tough right now in the real estate market. So I approached him and my son, and we got together, and I said, "What do you think we go out and build something?" And so my motivation is help these guys, get them set up, and then let them run this thing for me somewhere down the road. And I'm their mentor. I'm their backup and the guy that if there's help them teach them how to solve problems, which that's what you're doing when you're managing one of these and building. You're a problem solver. And so I want to help them and leave a legacy and help them build something too, not just for me and Maggie, my wife, but also for my son and son-in-law / daughter.
Yeah.
I love that.
For the family.
Yeah.
So I'm excited and I'm scared. They say, talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, they had a chain of body shops that he sold. And we were talking because he's asked me the same thing. He's a little bit younger than me, but he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, I've always been told that if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And so I'm
Yep.
scared to death
Yep.
right now. And I love it because the
Completely
adrenaline's
normal.
flowing.
Yep.
Failure is not an option. It's going to require everything I have, but to me, that's excitement. That's exciting for me.
I
To
love
get
that.
up every
Me
day
too.
and go, with no turning back. I'm all in. Here we go. Failure's not an option.
Well, and for those of you listening to this or watching this episode, if you're not scared when you're doing this, I think something's wrong. There's always that leap of faith element, regardless of how much research you've done. It's scary. It's scary. And you know how hard it is because you've done it. You've built a business before.
Yeah.
So
And
good
it's
for
okay to
you.
be scared.
It is okay.
There's nothing
It
wrong
is-
with that. It's normal.
Yes.
Yes.
Our
it is
social
normal.
media gal says, do it scared.
Yeah.
That's her saying, do it scared. So here you are doing it scared.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
So you purchased Black Optix
Mhm.
Tint and you're going to be opening soon in Forney. So tell us a little bit about Black Optix Tint
Black Optix Tint.
and why you
First
chose
of all, I thank you guys for turning me on to Black Optix Tint. Never heard of them because there's not very many around. Matter of fact, there's only, I think, a couple. There's one in Galveston, Round Rock, and Carrollton.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if I know Round Rock and Carrollton's open. Does Galveston open yet? I'm not
Yes,
sure.
he should be
Yep.
open.
They have.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's just a few of us.
Here, but there's
yeah.
others across
Yeah, they're in
the US.
Virginia,
Mhm.
Florida,
Yeah.
and stuff. But I predict you're going to see 20, 30 of them or so in the next 10 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth
Yeah.
Metroplex. That's how fired up and excited I am about Black Optix. But looked into, spoke with you, shared some different ideas with me. And I just felt like Black Optix, and we talk about culture all the time, was that cultural fit. It was a group of guys and gals that I just really connected with. The vision that they had for the company, all the way up to Ray Titus, the CEO, was exciting. I could see that they were excited about Black Optix because that was a new purchase for United Franchise Group.
Mhm.
And when I asked Ray about it, I said, Ray Titus, the CEO of the company, I said, Ray, what were you so excited about Black Optix for? And he said, Mark, he said, the auto tint business is going crazy, but we're really excited about the residential tint business. He said, that's an untapped market, and we're really bullish on that. And we think Black Optix is going to be our number one franchise.
Oh, wow.
So that got me excited because they have some really nice
Yeah.
franchises in their
Mhm.
group.
Very
So,
mature brands
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the margins were really nice. That got my attention. I wanted something with high margins, and the fact that when I had the laundromat, I paid well. I've always paid well. My staff at State Farm was always one of the higher paid staff because I want to keep my staff and I want to reward them and share. I've always been a big believer. Share the wealth. If you're doing well, share. We're all. One of the things I always preach to my staff is, look, this business is paying all of our bills and taking care of our families, and so let's take care of it. Let's take care of this business. Because it's feeding us all. It's enabling us to do things we normally couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wanted my people to believe that they were part of the business, that they had a piece of it. They felt, even though they weren't quote owners, they felt like they had an ownership interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved the idea that I could take some of these young men and women out of school that didn't want to go to college, that were making coffee or doing something somewhere, that had some dreams, that wanted to home ownership and do some things, take care of their families, that I could pay them a living wage and teach them a skill, and then, give back and contribute that way, helping young men and women start careers and start families and stuff like that. So that was also exciting because when I talked to the other franchises, they were paying very well, high, six-figure income. They would have 2 or 3 staff members, tinters and things that were making 6 figures. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And I love that because, a lot of times people will get hung up on passion. They want to have your passion, from what I'm gathering, isn't in the tint on the windows. Your passion is in what the business can do for you, your family,
Yeah.
for your community, for the
Mhm.
next generation. So that's where I'm hearing your passion come from. And that's what people need to look for when they're looking at a business. Don't focus so much on what the business does, but focus on what the business can do for you or your community or your family. So thank you for sharing that.
You're going to learn and grow so much.
Mm-hmm.
When we did the laundromat, my wife and I got really tight. I mean, when you're going to Sam's to fill up the vending machine that just broke, and you're working on the vending machine, you have a washer go down, and a customer complaining about something. I mean, you can do 2 things. You can either break apart and there's chaos, or you can come real close together and start solving problems. And
Yeah.
I can tell you that we're closer now than we've ever been, because we went through some adversity together.
Yeah.
And so when you build a business and it's family involved, and you guys are all working together, you really, really get close. You you learn from each other,
Yeah.
and you come out stronger. It's like a marriage, right? Same thing of the marriage. If you can get through the tough times, you look back and go, "Hey, that's where we grew."
Mm-hmm. I love that analogy because Roxanne always uses the analogy when you're signing a franchise agreement. It's a 10-year commitment. Nobody wants to get into a bad marriage. Nobody wants to get into a bad franchise either. So,
Well, talk about commitments back, to your question about Black Optix. It's a 35-year franchise agreement with
Wow.
a 35-year renewal.
I did not
wow,
realize
I didn't
that.
either.
I've
I forgot
never
about that.
ever
Wow.
seen
I-
that. So you're
No.
70 years if you want 70 years.
So
you
you'll
got 70
be
years.
So you're going to be
106.
Yeah,
100.
Yeah, which that's cool. Again, back to the legacy part and passing down,
Yes,
because we're
yeah.
talking 70 years if we want it that long. And so the goal is to get this off the ground and possibly open multiple.
Heck, your
you know.
grandkids could be in
Yeah.
the business.
They may be. We may be
140
the
years
Black
out.
Optix Cunningham, whatever.
Proof. That's wonderful. You've got great knowledge and experience. So if somebody is thinking about becoming a franchisee or going into business, what are some words of wisdom or a tip that you might want to leave them with?
Man, we were talking about that the other day, and I told Maggie, I said, you know me, I go on and on and on. I can't just leave one. There's not just one thing. So I thought about that, and I thought, what if I could only tell somebody one thing? What if that was it? I could just tell one thing, and I would say believe in yourself.
Oh, I love that.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to make it. You have to believe in yourself. Once you sign that agreement, once you write that check, there's no looking back, no regrets. You
Yep.
you got to go for it, tunnel vision, work. Now, what I've seen happen with some people, they get to going and there's some things they don't like. Suck it up, make it work. And then when you build it up, like my laundromat, and we're making it work, and now we're cash flowing, okay, there's a few things we don't like. Now I can sell it. Now I've built an asset up. Now I can decide if I want to stay in or get out. But those early days, it's too late. You got to roll up your shirt sleeves, get in there, become a master of whatever it is, become a student of the game, understand the business top to bottom, surround yourself with good people. Follow the game plan of the franchisor that you signed up with, that you did your due diligence with, and work the process. And there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be days you go like, what did I do? Stay with it. Stay the course. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And when you hit that light, you look back and go, wow, I did it. Now you have power. Now you have choices. If you want to sell, you can sell. If you want to stay in, you can stay in. But you got to believe in yourself. You got to get rid of all the doubt.
Yeah.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I always tell people you need to have confidence before you move forward. You need to have confidence in the franchisor, and you need to have confidence in yourself. And if you're lacking one of those, don't do it.
Couldn't
Great
agree more.
advice.
Yeah, because it's not going to be easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, Mark, to learn more about you or the services that you offer or tint their windows, how would they find you?
I just got my email yesterday. So it's mark.cunningham@blackoptixtint.com.
And you have a lease signed. And when
Yes.
we release this, hopefully you'll be opening very soon.
Yep.
In Forney, so they can also Google Black Optix Tint in Forney and come and get their windows tinted.
Come on down.
Come on
The
down.
price is
Windows,
right.
tinting, and aftermarket products for vehicles as well.
Yep. Ceramic coating, protective paint. We'll do audio speakers. I'm going to have a sound room I'm building, so you can go and listen to
Nice.
the different speakers and subwoofers and all that good stuff that I know nothing about right now, but I will when you come. I will know all about it.
Lots of aftermarket stuff if you're a car person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say
And
car
residential too.
residential.
add that.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Protect your furniture
And
and your
commercial.
skin.
That's right. That's right.
All right. This commercial's over.
Mhm.
For those of you listening, thank you for joining us and tuning in. Thank you, Mark, for taking time out of your busy day and
Thank you.
driving all the way from Forney to join us. If you would like to connect with me, Roxanne Rapske, or Sara Waskow, my colleague, or if you would like to learn more about franchising and what we do, please click or see the links in the description below.
Thanks a lot and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.